The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of its hosts, guests, or callers, and do not necessarily represent the opinions of WTBR-FM, its management, other producers, or sponsors.
Welcome in Berkshire County. Sorry about that. You're listening to Bird's Eye View. You're on Pittsfield Community Radio, 89.7 WTBR-FM, Pittsfield, 88.1 WSBR Lee. I'm Mike Walsh, as I was just saying, before I actually turned the mic on. Jesse Kolodkin usually guides us through this, so my first time, I guess, over here in this chair. And he's under the weather, but I brought help with me. Help in the form that she's holding my baby currently. But Shiobbean Lemme of Berkshire Running Foundation, Berkshire Running Center, is joining us. So we're going to talk, obviously the Boston Marathon is Monday, so that's a big deal. But Berkshire Running Foundation kind of, you started your season.
We did,
on
yes.
Sunday, or well, I guess you consider way back to the Gomez.
Yeah, I mean, the running season starts typically in the Berkshires. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning,
Good morning, Henry. April's a good month. We usually get a couple of runs out there, and just like we realized this past weekend.
Some Aprils are better than others.
Yeah. Josh Marilis was in the store yesterday from ARE, and they had their Helderberg this weekend.
Okay.
Their half on Saturday, and we got snow.
Yeah,
And
we woke up to a couple inches, yeah.
We timed the puddle jumper out in Lenox, and there was snow. So they moved the race to Sunday, and it worked out just great for the
I just saw there,
school.
I think 54 finishers, so that's pretty good for a first time.
April race.
Yeah, this is the first one, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just a new thing that class of 2028, I think, wanted to do.
Yeah, about 10 years ago now, maybe, they used to have a race, called the Lenox Loop, which the Lenox High School kids put on as well. And this is kind of a resurrection of it. And they hit it with the puddle jumper name, for sure. Mm-hmm. But as we look at the running world, Boston is Monday, Marathon Monday. That's like the official real kickoff.
Yeah, it really gets going.
Yeah.
Really starts heating up. We have... at least by my count, so I just go through the the Berkshire Athletic Association. Is that what it is? BAA?
BAA.
Yeah, their website, you can kind of search by town. So I just take every town, big and small in the Berkshires, and try to find who's going to be there, and then kind of go off of, last year's finishers, what we're going to do. I came up with, I think, 14, 15 names, somewhere around there. I knew to look for... I knew to look for... Ted Yee, who is no longer in the Berkshires, but is in Boston, where he went to college.
Grown, we like to say.
Lenox grad in 2019, I want to say, and he obviously was the top finisher from the county last year. So he kind of pilots this whole thing, but Alex White looks like
Boston runner, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Is this Alex's third Boston, maybe?
Definitely third I know of,
sure.
Because he's kind of, and the way I viewed it, kind of thinking about this, is that those two guys kind of emulate or illustrate, in my opinion, kind of the best thing about running, where Ted is kind of I don't want to say lifelong runner, but has been running, came up through the high school ranks, kind of laid the foundation at Lenox that won a state title in 2022, even though he graduated in 19. Whereas Alex was a high school bowler.
Right, late to the sport.
Yeah, didn't really run at all. And then COVID happened, and he just kind of started running, which a lot of us did. A lot of people did, I think, during that time. And all of a sudden, his name started popping. He was winning the CRA, he's winning the Mayday races. He won Steel Rail. So he kind of, is a different... coming at running in a different form, which is really cool. And now he is kind of super gung-ho. I talked to him last year before Steel Rail, which he did take off. But, yes, what he does is a level above your casual runners.
For sure. And I've lived with that runner for a while.
Yes.
And, Boston is something in our house, Boston is something we all have done. Mm-hmm. Those that have. Jackie ran it with her dad. Goodness, 6 years ago, I think, was the last time Lemmy was at Boston. Mm-hmm. I ran it last in 2010. And unless, they decide to go backwards at the qualifying time, that might be the last time I run in Boston. But it's... When you're a runner and you meet someone who's not a runner, the first question they ask you is, have you run Boston? And It took me 11 times to qualify for Boston,
Wow,
and
okay.
it's a hard
You're
thing to
plugging away
do.
at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so to get there is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at the people who are running, what I love about the running world is that there's a lot of people who are running for a charity,
Mm-hmm.
where they're raising money for these amazing charities, and gives them the opportunity to run the Boston Marathon and do some good in the world,
Yeah.
right? They may never qualify, so now they get to line up in Hopkinton with the rest, with the Ted E's and the Alex White, and they all run the same.
Kipchoges and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of why you look at. I mean, I would agree with that. Most people like I run, and people are like, "Oh, why aren't you? When you're going to do a marathon?"
Right.
And actually, we were just talking about the class I'm taking at BCC, which is a short story class. And the
like
same
it.
question is, when are you writing a book? And I'm like, I don't
was
have the
gonna ask
energy
you
to write
that
a book.
10 minutes ago.
I don't want to write a book, and I don't want to run a marathon.
Right.
I'm a half marathon guy. 10Ks are great. 5Ks are great.
Because they're huge undertakings.
Yeah. I also just like the idea of I don't know that I have the attention span to focus on that for 4 hours. Like, I could do 2 hours half marathon. I'm hanging out at the finish line at the Ashawiltakuk with a steel rail beer in my hand, and I'm good. I don't know that I need the 2 extra hours of that.
Exactly. And I would give yourself the credit to say that what I'm looking at, you're managing more than 4 hours of anything. and there's 2 of them.
That's fair these days,
And
yes.
it's unscheduled. You have no choice to do it. It's on demand. So
As I said, it's life.
yeah, it's life. And for some people, that's the thing that they want to check off their list. And I get that. And
yeah.
it was for me, for sure. And I know for people like Alex and Ted, it's for them to go to the biggest stage in the world when it comes to a marathon. It's the oldest, most prestigious marathon that's ever been held. And, you all want to get that blue and yellow medal and have that unicorn
Windbreaker,
hanging.
Yeah, it's a very cool. I haven't been there in 15 years probably, but I did go when I was younger. One of my best friend's dads would be like one of their main volunteers, so we were like at the start line, just like right there, a couple times, and it's a very cool event just to be at.
It's amazing. I am so happy to have done it, and it's a different kind of race. It's you run a straight line for 25 miles. You don't take a single turn on that course until you get to Kenmore Square.
Wow, that's crazy.
Doesn't happen on a lot of races.
Yeah.
So it's in and of itself. So I'm excited to see the names that are going out. A lot of the names from the Berkshires are, I see them every year on the Boston list.
Yeah, I was just
veterans.
thinking it goes from, I think Ted is maybe 22, Alex is 23, but we go all the way up to 63.
Sure.
A bunch of people in their 40s. I have 5 people from Pittsfield.
Yeah.
We have, might as well list them. Michael Bennett, Tim Burke, Mark McDermott, Regine Orazio, and Julia Shepard from Pittsfield. Emily Moulton from North Adams, a name I remember covering as like a basketball player. Laura Stephen from Great Barrington.
Yep.
David Olberg from Lennox, who ran it in 3:53 last year.
Yeah, he's there every year.
Yeah, he's 61.
Yep.
Ben Scotto ran it, I believe, in 3:16 last year. He's out of Williamstown.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He'll be also in the first. So Alex and Ted are in the first wave, first corral, which is kind of wild. They have such low bib numbers too. Alex is from Dalton. Sheffield's Allison Lasso is a returner. David Wilson is there every year.
David works really hard. He qualifies every year. He's he and his son Logan have run it together in years past, and
a familiar. So he's 63 now out of Lanesboro, and then I have someone in Washington, the town of Washington. Connor McDonough is a 34-year-old. Those are the names I came up with. I
think you have
encourage
them all.
encourage anyone else who is running, or we run into it sometimes where runners from out here have moved or went to college. I remember Sam Culver, I think, was one last year or 2 years ago, a Greylock cross-country star who was at college. And
you can always trust
their
mom's going to call you and let you know that we miss them.
Proud parents.
Call us, Mom. We need to know, because it shows up. I do the search by zip code. So if you put in 012, it gives you everybody in the Berkshire area.
That might be easier than
it's not easy.
searching every single town.
Someone had to show me that trick, back in the day. And then we hope for everybody to have the weather looks perfect for Boston on Monday. What I like is, and I don't like it, but often we get a big influx for registrations for our marathon on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's kind of a good transition because I did want to talk. We have Dalton CRA May Day races will be the next kind of big one coming up on May 4th, and then it's Mother's Day and Steel Rail back to back.
Yeah, in the first week, and then we'll have the Memorial Day races. So Berkshire Running Foundation, you can kind of count. Oh, sorry.
You can bring him over here if you want. I can talk.
I will.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me grab this baby real quick.
Daddy can take you. It's okay. But thanks, Mike. Yeah. So April is like we get a couple of races maybe, and then May, yes, the CRA race I believe is 30 plus. Don't count me on the numbers of years that they've been doing that, but
yeah, they listed as 48 or 49 actually, but I don't know. Yeah,
for sure, and that's a great race. It's a 5K, a 10K, which we don't get a lot of 10Ks around here, and then the kids runs. Those are the most fun thing. My kids have all done them. I'm sure that
Everett tried to do it last year. We made it through a couple obstacles. It was a horrible day last year.
Yeah, and that doesn't help either.
No, it was cold and rainy all day. I ran the 10K, and it was miserable for a while.
I remember because I drove by and saw you guys.
Yeah. Excellent event though. Always super. Kind of fun, ton of kids.
Raises money for the CRA, for their youth program. So such a great event. May is packed. And then Mother's Day, 49th year of the Mother's Day.
49th year of the Mother's Day. Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Longest running all-female running event in the country. So we hold that moniker very strong. But what we do is invite the community to join us for a 1 mile walk or run. Kids do it for free before that, and it raises money for the Elizabeth Freeman Center. So everything Berkshire Running Foundation does raises money for another nonprofit in the area. Then the next weekend we have the Mo Mile and kids race on the Ashewoltecook Rail Trail on Saturday.
Okay, so that's the day before. Still.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's a half mile for kids 6 and under, and then a mile run for kids 6 to 12, and it's free. They get a T-shirt, they get a toy. It's a lot of fun. And it's a great time for parents to come down and pick up their race packet for Sunday. And I said that we get a lot of registrations on Tuesday because some people try to get their Boston qualifying time when they run Boston on Monday. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So they immediately look up a flat, fast course, and we're the closest thing to it. So we like to welcome them to come get their time on our flat, fast course. Last year, Alex ran Boston, and he volunteered for us for the race, which was fantastic. And that's like the community. When you see someone as talented as Alex taking time out of his day to wear a safety cone on his head and cheer on the 8K runners. Yeah. Right? He's
doling out high fives, I will say.
Yeah. And probably really happy that he wasn't running a marathon at that time because he had gotten his Boston qualifying time in Boston. So he was already going back. And that's kind of the beauty of that race. Then the proceeds for the steel rail go to the Department of Conservation and Recreation, and that goes back to the Ashewoltecook Rail Trail, which is
still growing, right?
Growing.
They're opening another section. Soon, maybe, or
the dream is it's going to get
all winter, but
Connecticut to Vermont in the.
It's wild.
But right now we have a section that's extended to Merrill Road, and then it's extended up to Lime Road and just a little past in Adams. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
It's taking a little bit of time. So we're super excited about that event. We're going to have a press conference at City Hall next week with the mayor on Tuesday. I'm sure you're going to hear about it.
Okay.
And that is going to be just, talking with Mountain One and Berkshire Health Systems about the 4th of July race. It's a busy couple of months for us down there. And we're excited. So, we're going to get to follow the runners on Monday. If you're interested, you can always go to the BAA website and you can track runners. You just put in their name and they allow you to track them. Regine, I'm going to be watching her. She just hit the Masters division, so she's 40 now.
Yes, yep.
And that's a whole new world of competition. So if you haven't seen this woman run, she is a machine, and she's extremely talented and has been, worked really hard to get to Boston. I think this is her second Boston.
Okay.
Not 100% sure. But I've seen her out there this winter chugging it along, and she's going to represent the Berkshires really well. So
That's one of the most impressive things to me is these things come so early in the season, and to be in marathon shape in New England in late April.
It's the worst thing in the world to do,
Yeah,
train for Boston in the Berkshires. And I did it 3 times. And your long runs are always on the worst day of the year. And you do a lot of it on the treadmill, which is not, conducive to having a good marathon outside in the Massachusetts weather.
Yeah.
You better be acclimated to something before you head down to Hopkinton. And
Indeed.
You can have anything. When I ran it in 2009, the night before the race, they were talking about canceling it because a nor'easter was coming through. And it was not the best weather to run the marathon. We've also been down there when it's been in the 90s. So that's, April in New England. Super fun.
Indeed it is.
I know. Henry's looking like he's ready to get training.
He's a little wiggly. He's a little
He is
wiggly
wiggly.
right now.
He should be.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That's kind of our 15 minutes.
That was amazing. Thank you for letting us on.
I appreciate it. So yeah, like I said, all right.
BerkshireRun.org.
Yep.
You can come and check out all our events.
Okay.
Kids run all our events for free, so check that out. And give us a call if you have any interest. The races all summer, and this is the time of year to get laced up. So I'm looking forward to it.
There's nothing better.
There is nothing better.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Siobhan.
for your time, Mike.
We'll see you. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much to Shiobbean Lemme for joining us from Berkshire Running Foundation, Berkshire Running Center. As we talked about, they have a ton of events coming up. Obviously, Boston on Monday is going to have a lot of attention, but if you're inspired watching those people run, highly recommend checking out, go to BerkshireRunningCenter.com and sign up for one of the upcoming things. The women's race is always a lot of fun. I've covered it a handful of times. My wife runs it. I know she's trying to run it. She did just have a baby in December, so we'll see. But the steel rail, there's a lot of options there. May Day race is coming up on May 4th as well. So check them all out. Again, this is Bird's Eye View. I'm Mike Walsh. You're listening to Pittsfield Community Radio, 89.7 WTBR-FM, Pittsfield, 88.1 WSBR Lee. We can kind of pivot there, actually. A decent transition coming off of those call numbers. Lee had a bit of a rough week, sports-wise, at least for me, getting out to cover some games. I saw Hoosick Valley Lee softball and Hoosick Valley Lee girls lacrosse both wind up being pretty handy wins for the Hurricanes of Hoosick Valley. Of note in there was Emma Meswar. You may know her more as a basketball player, coming off that state championship run. She wound up being a first-team All-Berkshire basketball player for us. And she is now the all-time scoring leader for Hoosick Valley girls lacrosse. She passed Allie Mendel, actually, I guess, last week, but crossed over the 400-point milestone on Tuesday? Was that Tuesday? I think, yeah. This week's Tuesday was wild. I was hanging out in the backyard during the day and nice sunshine, and then we got to that game, and it was freezing rain pretty much throughout it. But she added 12 points to her total, 7 goals, 5 assists. She was kind of a machine, as she has been for a couple of years now. And that team, obviously, the story coming out of it is that, but as we all said, that's not the goal. 400 points is not the goal. 300 goals, what have you. They need to win a Western Mass title with this group. They were in the Western Mass Championship game for Class C last year. I was out there, Springfield Central, I believe it was, and just did not play like themselves. Whether that was turf, whether that was obviously South Hadley, very strong team. It was hot. they just did not look like they look in the regular season. So that's kind of a big point of emphasis for that, particularly that kind of core group there of Emma Meswar, Ashlyn Lejeune, who herself, I believe, is over 300 points for her career, Jacinta Felix as well, Marin Capiello. This is a group that has... Yeah, exactly. Big expectations, big hopes for the postseason. So they haven't really been super tested. Lee did give them a decent game. I think it wound up being 15-7 final score. Lee did take a lead in the second quarter, but didn't have enough to kind of keep pace with all the offense that Meswar was providing. She had this one goal where she just kind of forced the goalie to overload one side and then just flipped it like a behind the backhand shot right into the net. Was kind of very impressive to see. And then Hoosagavelli softball put up 21 hits on Bree. I don't know if Bree Lynch pitched the whole game, but one of the better pitchers in Western Mass, and they put up 24 runs at Lee and just kind of run away with it. So a huge win for them. They've got some big games coming up as well. Throughout the week, kind of a bunch of stories emerged, really. The biggest one may have been, obviously the biggest one may have been Emma Meswar, but equally or almost equally as big, James Rebuse of Wacona threw a perfect game with 19 strikeouts against Mount Greylock earlier this week. And he's a Northeastern University D1 commit coming into the year with... not just high hopes, but just, the expectations, the weight of kind of trying to lead that team back to where Wacona baseball's been in the past, which hasn't been in a couple years. But I guess they were in a Western Mass final last year, but get them, back to the kind of cream of the crop when you think about Berkshire County is his goal. He also had a home run yesterday and another win over Southwick. So they avenged an early season loss from them. So Wacona, they're only 3-1, as we found, and as I'll talk about in a little bit when I get to some track stuff. There has just been not a lot of games this season. We've had a kind of absurd amount of postponements. You want some food? So they're just 3-1, but they have a huge game tomorrow night at home. They will host Drury, who will come in at, I believe, 6-0 now. Drury hadn't been tested through 5 games. They had kind of won 5 blowouts, but they beat Franklin Tech yesterday, and Franklin Tech entered undefeated as well, so their first kind of quality win, you could say. They did beat McCann-Tech in there, but McCann-Tech does not look like the McCann-Tech team that won the Western Mass title last year. They're replacing a bunch of people, but they had to play a full 7 innings, Drury did, and they pulled it out. And they didn't use either of their 1-2 pitchers, Carson Rylander, Connor Hinkle. So both could be ready for Wacona. Rebuse pitched, what was that, Monday? So you look at that, he could be ready to go Friday if they're doing that. So could be a huge game in Dalton tomorrow night. Wacona, Drury. An early season test really for both teams. Both teams with kind of Western Mass aspirations. I know Wacona will... If they're going to win a Western Mass title, you're going to have to go through Pittsfield, and that's kind of the rub right now. I was talking about it with Howard Herman, who's would have been here today with me, but is out at the UMass football practice. They have their spring game coming up on Saturday, if you're interested in that. But essentially, he him and some coaches were talking that that everyone in the county anyone that is beatable on any given day because everyone has, one really strong pitcher. And I will say I agree with that with the caveat that I don't know anybody's beaten this Pittsfield High team. Coming off of that state finals run last year, Western Mass title, they just look too strong up and down the order. So you might have an ace. I don't know that your ace is holding Pittsfield to fewer than 5-6 runs. I think this lineup is just that good. They went out to Minnechaug. Jesse Kolodkin was there Monday and beat him in, I think, 5 innings, like 11-1, something like that. So I believe they host Northampton today at home. Northampton, typically a pretty strong program, so maybe a test there, but we'll see, because if there's decisions to be made, especially with where we are, given the amount of games these teams are going to have coming up, packed into these weeks, 4-game weeks. Do you try to beat Pittsfield? You're going to try to beat Pittsfield either way, but do you kind of target it so your top arm faces Pittsfield, or you target it top arm faces a not a bad team, but a lesser team than Pittsfield to kind of guarantee yourself a win there, and then you go into Pittsfield and you say, oh, we'll try our luck here. What happens? Do you not want to burn your top arm against the top team in a regular season game that may mean a lot, may mean not much, so decisions to be made coming up. The weather, it's thrown a monkey wrench into a lot of things. With track in particular, this week we had 3 track meets the past 2 days, all get postponed, pushed back. So I was looking forward to getting out to see some track yesterday. Didn't wind up happening. It was too cold. The fields are a mess right now. That Hoosick Valley girls lacrosse game Tuesday, I think, just torched what is the football field stadium there. That grass is probably in rough shape for the next week now, trying to recover. So what I did was go through and start we call it the honor roll. I call it it was actually made before me, but inherited it. It's the Berkshire County Track and Field Honor Roll. So we kind of track the top 5 performances throughout the course of the year. So one performance per person, per athlete, per discipline. This is a long way to describe this, if you will, but it kind of gives us a snapshot of kind of names to watch, who's kind of rising, who's making some waves, who could make some noise in the postseason. 2 biggest names so far. One pretty obvious was going to be Catherine Goss of Mount Greylock, a senior there. Helped lead that team to the D6 state title last season, last spring out of Merrimack College. So she is currently leading the Berkshires in the 100 hurdles, the 400 hurdles, and the triple jump. She has the top marks in all of those. She is also part of the first place 4x100 relay team at Greylock. It's going to be a tall task for anyone to touch her in hurdles. She was kind of the top hurdler last year. And she was the top hurdler kind of last year, and entering the season this year, doesn't seem like anyone's touching her. The other name is Cooper Calvert, who was solid last year. Had a couple spots here and there, maybe a third or something. But his junior year at Wacona now, he owns the top spot in the high jump, the long jump, and the triple jump. I was there up at Greylock a couple weeks ago when he tied, I believe, the school record at Wacona for high jump, cleared 6'2". Was jumping kind of against himself for an hour. Really, nobody else was closing in on any of those heights. And so he has the 6'2" mark there, and is also heftily leading the triple jump and long jump as well. So the kid's got some springs. Excited to see what happens over the course of the year. The thing you'll notice about the honor roll right now is just Greylock and Wacona are pretty heavy in there. That might be because they are very good. They both are very good, have a lot of strong athletes. Also could be because Wacona hosted the only dual meet to get in so far, and Greylock hosted the other 2 invitationals, kind of preseason meets. So those kids have a lot of things, a lot of opportunities. You're okay, buddy. We'll wrap up here. The other thing I'll mention is Monument Mountain's distance stars. Amelia Deslitz and Everett Pacheco lead each in one category, but not any others, because simply they haven't raced. I don't believe either have raced a 2-mile. If that's accurate, both leading the mile. But anyway, that's kind of going to do it for us here. My baby is starting to get finicky, as you can tell. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Bird's Eye View. I'm Mike Walsh. Jesse Kolodkin will hopefully be back with me next week. Thanks to Shiobbean Lemme. Check out Berkshire Running Center, Berkshire Running Foundation. Get out there and run. It's hopefully the weather is getting there. We'll see y'all later.